Humanity clings to a comfortable illusion that the world belongs to mankind, that they lead lives of free-willed individuality, completely unaware that they occupy a world of grim mysteries inhabited by monsters. Those savvy to the secrets of the world of darkness know the truth, however. That timeless blood drinkers, ravening shapeshifters, restless ghosts, and even more harrowing things haunt the night. Greetings, hunters. Thank you for joining me. I am Maquette, and today we are going to be... I'm going to be answering some questions. We had a lot of comments pop through. Impressive, by the way, the fact that you guys were able to get past my IP block, get past my firewall, and actually send some things in there. I love it. I like to see guys out there. I like to see people out there who are better than me at this computer stuff, because, I got a guy, but maybe I need to find a new guy. But that being a thing, I do want to point out, please shut that back door if you decide to come in and hang out and join this cell of people who are trying to get the word out there, because the last thing we want is any orgs getting in here. Last thing I need is the FBI banging on my door, trying to get in, doing all that stuff that they do, making me out to be a bad guy when I'm just trying to save the world and keep you guys educated, right? So today we're going to go over the Hunter Lexicon, those things that you guys have heard me say and did not fully understand what the hell I was talking about. I completely understand that. Let's go ahead and go through this. And after we're done with this, I got a little special treat for you. We're going to go on that when we get done with this, though. So I put these in alphabetical order, make them a little bit more organized, help you guys understand what I'm talking about. First word I want to go over, cell. C-E-L-L, cell. It's a group of hunters, likely of multiple creeds, united in the interest of protection, teamwork, and common cause. That's all it is. It's an organization. It's a low-grade organization. It's not an organization. I want to say that because the organizations suck, and we will get into that very, very soon. A cell it's your softball team. It's your bowling group. It's your damn D&D party. It's the people that you know, that you can work with, that you can trust. That is important. And on top of that, I would like to point out the next word is Cellies. It's not really a word that I tend to use very often, but it is something that I've seen pushed around the reckoning circles. A Cellie is a fellow member of a cell. A few hunters organize, the irony of it being slang, for a prison cellmate. A lot of us do see this world as a prison that we're trying to survive, that we're trying to get out of. So I think that might be where this actually came from. We do have to recognize the fact that this is what that means. It's a cellie. It's our cellmates. That's just kind of the way it goes. Coalition. I've used this word a couple times. It seems to confuse some people. Coalition is a multinational joint task force of orgs dedicated to the eradication of supernatural threats and preservation of order. Sounds great, right? Well, it is until you realize that they literally have no ethical or moral boundaries when it comes to this stuff. They are here to do what they're going to do. They do not care who gets hurt. And it's very much a good idea for us to keep things down to the point where they don't show up at all. They are a pain in the ass, a royal pain in the ass. And that is something that everybody needs to understand. I did say the word creed earlier. Creed is something to go over. It's an outlook. It's an approach. It's the way that a hunter takes to reclaiming the world from supernatural threats, around which a sort of community has emerged. Now, I personally suggest that if you're going to put a cell together, it should have multiple creeds. Because we're all going to have different outlooks. We're all going to have different methods, and working together with that really helps. However, if you're lucky enough to have more than one cell in an area, if you are lucky enough to have communication with other groups out there hunting, it is a good idea to team up with the like-minded creeds. Primarily because those people might think of things that you did not. You might be able to trade sources of information. You might be able to trade where you're getting your stuff from. Like, it's helpful to have that mixed creed, but it's also a good idea to keep in mind that there are others out there who are going to work with you, and having like-minded hunters is always a good thing. The hunt. I don't understand why this has been confusing, but the hunt is the pursuit of an individual supernatural creature or group. One specific operation, friends. The hunt is when you have decided that, oh, there's something gone over here. We need to investigate it. We need to figure out what's doing the thing, and then we need to get it. That is the hunt, my friends. Now, new word that has popped up. Got this listening through chatter. I love it. It's probably my new favorite word in our little hunter lexicon, and that's jobber. Jobber is great. I hate jobbers. First off, I like the word, do not like what it means. It's an org hunter, someone who simply does the job, exhibits no individual drive. They're not hunting because they think it's right. They're hunting because they're getting a paycheck. That's a jobber. Org. I've said org a few times. That's confused some people. It's a formal organization that exists to hunt monsters as a means to an end rather than for its own sake. Orgs often support the status quo situations and preserve the powers of the elite, a lot of the times likely themselves, and are generally larger and better resourced than individual cells. That is the sad truth. Everybody, those with power keep the power, those with money keep the money. Some of us are just stuck nailing buzzsaw blades to baseball bats in our garage. But you know what? We get through. We do what we can do. The quarry. Some of you guys are not hunters. Well, some of you guys are not like deer hunter kind of things, not going out on the weekends and hunting boar or anything like that. But the quarry is an individual hunt's target. That's all it is. The target of an individual hunt. One specific supernatural creature or group. If you decide that you are going to do some reconnaissance on some group of hippies standing outside of an Atolles that are boycotting, and you realize that they might be a little bit more violent, and with a little bit of pushing, you find out that, oh God, they're werewolves. Yes, I said werewolves with a capital W. Werewolves. Big ass fucking 11-foot tall monstrosities with hair and claw and teeth and killing and all that stuff. Werewolves. That's your quarry, people. Vampires, werewolves, ghosts, whatever. If you find out that haunted house down the street is legitimately haunted, quarry. It's what you're going after. That's what you need to understand. Then there's the reckoning. I've said this a few times. I think it's my emotional way of saying the reckoning. It's the urge to take back the world from supernatural predators, people. With an urgency of right now in particular. The feeling that the world is at its tipping point. You look out your window. You tell me that the world's not on its tipping point. You watch the news and you tell me that the world is not at its tipping point. That is why we're here, people. That is the call of action. That is the reckoning. And now, the last one that I have on here before we move on to our little special thing is the UTR. I've heard this pop up a few times. People get confused because, you know, it's an acronym. It's not exactly a word. It's Unusual Threat Response. UTR, Unusual Threat Response. It's the general, bureaucratic, or military designation for a special police or military unit developed by the coalition. Yeah, special police, Gestapo type people. The individuals who like to knock on the door, bust down the door, and take you in without freaking reasoning. Those assholes. The UTR are the Unusual Threat Response. Now, in general, it's used among capital H hunters like ourselves as a more stylized description for what they do. Like, it's usage akin to a special task force. So you might hear that the UTR are in town or that a UTR happened. Either way, that is what we need to. That's what I need to point out. And those are mainly the words that have come up that have confused people. Now, if I say anything else out there and you're listening and you have a way of hacking through my defenses, by all means, comment down below. Let me know if there's anything that you need me to clarify, and I will do that for you because that's why I'm here. I am an educator, my friends. Now that we're done going through our own little personal way of saying things, I wanted to go over something that I picked up on Chatter because I'm always listening. They are out there hunting, sometimes for the wrong reasons. I'm talking about you coalitions. I think you might like this. I've been able to pick up some words, some terminology of the coalitions that I think I wanted to share with you guys. Again, I put these in alphabetical. They have a lot more jargon than we do, and a lot of them are literally just initials for things. So we will go through what we got. Now, auto de fe. I've heard this said a few times. It's an act of faith. Originally the ritual sentencing and punishment of heretics, sometimes by burning at the stake. Now, a group called the Leopolites, judgment order, usually meaning for termination on a target or subject. Also used, this is amazing, I've heard it called stake and bake. I've actually heard them called that. This is when they're hiding vampires and stuff. They stake them, they light them up, auto da fe, or stake and bake. It's a raid or an operation involving ample incineraries also. I have heard that thing. So if you are on a hunt and you're listening in and you hear some coalition, some UTR talking about stake and bake or possibly auto da fe, get your ass out of there. They could be dropping napalm. Run. Do not stay in the area. BBZ. That's right, BBZ. It is an abbreviation from what we've been able to tell for blank body zero. The JTRG, I'll get to that in a little bit, term for a desired outcome of its operations in Britain. Often used by coalition hunters to report a successful mission or sometimes a negative surveillance finding. We have BBZ at 18th Street kind of thing. Basically, this is what they say to let you know that there are no what they're calling blank bodies here. I got blank bodies on here. I will get into that. Blank, yeah, it's a whole thing. If they're saying that it's BBZ, it means they've already killed everything or there's nothing there to even go after. So there's that. Beleza. I'm awful. It's I believe it's Portuguese. I cannot pronunciate things. I can't even say words the right way. You're listening to me. Beleza is great, beautiful, well handled, often used sarcastically. This is how they talk down to each other. Literally, it means beauty in Brazilian Portuguese. It has spread to ESOG and America SI special ops teams recently. So basically, if you hear anybody say that, that's them going, good job, and being sarcastic about it. Bella, a mortal suspected of working with or for vampires. Now, I've also seen this called Renfield, which is obviously a reference to the whole Dracula thing. A Bella is a familiar. We call them familiars. It's basically what happens when a human drinks some vampire blood. They get all messed up in the head, but they get stupid strong. So be careful if you run into any of these Bellas out there. All right, now, big word. Blank body. Blank bodies. First Light and SO13, terms for vampires, referring to their blank readout on infrared cameras. Also, they're known as 2 Bravos, BBs, B-boys, or BBs, just straight out. So, blank bodies, vampires, don't tend to register on camera, on infrared. Anything that picks up body heat, they don't tend to register. So if you see the outline of an individual, but they're not releasing any heat, any body heat, you probably found yourself one of those bloodsuckers. Bows. We're on bows. B-O-E-S. Bows. Let's see. It's basically a vampire hunting group. It is an acronym for something. It does have a lot. It is a Brazilian paramilitary, freaking words, dude. It is a Brazilian paramilitary vampire hunting group. They call themselves the O.S. Sagrados, the Sacred. Interesting group. In my opinion, it seems like they are like a militarized church group. that kind of thing. I haven't really been able to follow them much, but that is a thing. Let's see. The Senecal. The Senecal is a team of Leopolite Inquisitioners. I can't say Inquisitors. That's what I'm going for. Their base of operation is in a Senalicum. So I guess that's just where they hang out. So basically, if you see a group of church hunters, that's it. The Leopolites. I've said that a couple times. It's the Society of Saint Leopold. They are a very odd group of people. Just putting that out there. They do things for faith-based, but they don't really seem to have morals behind it. They don't really. It's an ends justifies the means group. Just to let you know. All right, the coalition. They actually talk about themselves in this fashion as well. Informal name given by the 5 torches to the covert overall planning of operations, dictates from the global vampire hunt. What most kindred mean when they say the words Second Inquisition. So that makes a lot of sense when you stop and think about it. Vampires don't tend to have a natural lifespan. Some of them may have actually been around during that first Inquisition. That was like 500, 600, 700 years ago. That's kind of scary. So they're seeing the coalition as a restoking of the fires of the Inquisition. That is a very interesting situation. I do think it's very interesting that they have this here. What I was able to pick up again on Chatter is the informal name given by the 5 torches to the covert overall planning of operations, dictates, and global vampire hunt. So there's a group out there called the 5 torches. Don't worry, I do have information on that. I just wanted to give you a little teaser. Let's see. The 8th direction. Interesting group. Vampire hunting group within Russia. GRU, military intelligence. 5th Directorate, also Direction 58. There's a whole bunch of things, but this is a Russian group of kindred of vampire hunters that we need to keep out on. There is the ESOG. I've said that earlier. The ESOG, the Entity Special Operations Group, is what they call themselves. The Special Forces component of the Society of Leopold. Yeah, they're a very interesting group of people, but they are basically your they're the direct investigators for the Society of Leopold. After that, we got Father Leo. The Society of Leopold, or its personnel, mostly used by non-Leopolites. Father Leo has scouted the hospitals for us. Also, Paelio in Brazil and Otet Levitt in Russia. So in other words, this is a multinational group, and whenever they've done their job, they're not seen as individuals at all. Whenever the Society of Leopold goes into a place, whenever they talk about them afterwards, when they're done clearing things out, they call them Father Leo, taking the individuality out of this thing. Basically, these guys are here for a paycheck too. Just pointing that out. Now, I have heard the words First Light thrown out, listening to chatter. Now, First Light, from what I can gather, is a joint CIA NSA special access program to identify, locate, and destroy vampires. So, government hunters, guys, these guys not only are getting a paycheck for it, they got a dental plan. Keep that in mind. 5 torches. We're on that one now. The 5 main components of the clandestine vampire hunting coalition. First Light for the US. The JTRG for the UK. The GRU N58 for Russia. We already covered them. That would be the... what did I say? The eighth direction. That's what they are. The Bows in Brazil, and the Society of Leopold. So these guys have teamed up to create this ultra hunting coalition. 14th century, the 100 hidden Navy SEAL tasks by IAO for special operations against blanks bodies. Also, it's known as C-14. Um, this is literally a group of military trained individuals who are going in and handling things before anybody even knows what happens. They can get in and out without even notice. It is quite impressive. There's the green zone, area of a city considered clear of vampires. So I've noticed that the SI here, this Second Inquisition, this coalition, is very dead set on vampires. I wonder if they go after anything else, to be honest. Let's see. This is something that's cute that I think you guys might like. Helsing, or Van Helsing. A solo vampire hunter generally used condescendingly by the SI and dismissively by the kindred. That's their word for vampires, by the way. They're calling them kindred. Isn't that cute? Anyway, basically, that's what they're calling us. They call us Van Helsings because we don't have the backing. Like, just douchebags. All right, the IAO, the Information Awareness Office, originally a Pentagon threat prediction program, officially shut down in October of 2003. Now the Shadow Command for the U.S. military forces involved in the Second Inquisition. This ties things all the way to the Pentagon, guys. Think about how dangerous that is for us. That's why I'm always telling you guys to make sure you lock the back door when you're popping into my DMs. All right. I cannot pronounce this word. In partibus sanguinarium. It's Latin to me. In the lands of the bloodsuckers is what that translates to. Used by the Society of Leopold to refer to assignments and missions in cities thought to be vampire-controlled. The ESOG and other special ops often shorten it to IPS, or imperfect, or pure shit. So, basically, if they think that there is a contamination of vampires, this is what they call that area. Until they can clear it out, in which case it's a green zone after that. All right. The JTRG, I've mentioned them a couple times. They are the Joint Threat Response Group within the GCHQ, the British Signals Intelligence Agency. Tasked to locate vampires, track them, target them for the SO13 operations. So in other words, these guys are the organized hunters from across the pond. Then we got Leech. This is something that I've heard a couple of times. Leech, a vampire, often pronounced Klich by Russian hunters as a it's basically their way of calling them a tick or a parasite of some fashion. That's all it is. It's pretty common sense. If you think leech, you're probably thinking vampire. All right. Malambo. Messed up ugly. This Operation Malambo from the jump. That's basically what it means. It just means that things got screwed up. It's what is that old one? Fubar. It's Fubar for hunters. That's all that is. Literally, it means ragged. It's a Brazilian Portuguese now used by the BOS, the BOS, and the ESOG, and many American hunters for anything that goes wrong or is messed up during a hunt. So, Malambo is screwed up. That is the hunter Fubar. The Nubar Group. Informational advisory group on occult threats in Great Britain, headed by Sir Simon Nubar. That is basically an information gathering organization. It's a bunch of libraries that they do there. There's your Illuminati people. Just saying. Let's see. There's the Night Watchman, short sword used by the ESOG, optimized for beheading blows. So in other words, if you hear anybody talking about how somebody has a Night Watchman, it means that they have an incredibly sharp sword, and you should probably be careful. Project Twilight. I thought this was cute. Project Twilight, an informal name for the information sharing network within the U.S. security establishment in the 1980s and 90s that believed in monsters, ghosts, and paradimensionals. So, in other words, things that can actually switch existence worlds, weird shit. But that's what Project Twilight is. It's basically it's an informal name for information sharing network. It is a very early version of a coalition. Pylon, 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 a mortal, usually a civilian, present at the scene of an operation. Connotes both obliviousness and in the wayness. Clock the citizen in the doorway across the street. A Bella? No. Looks just like a pylon. So, in other words, if you hear anybody say pylon when you're listening to this coalition chatter, what it basically means is it's somebody who doesn't know what the hell's going on. It's an unawakened, you could say. Someone whose eyes are closed. They're in the wrong place at the wrong time. They are not a ghoul. They are not some servant of a supernatural. They are a civilian who is in the wrong place at the wrong time. They will pop them. We will get them the hell out of there in the best way that we can. They are not collateral damage to us. They are there for us to help. Ratface. I heard this one over the line. This was interesting. Ratface, a vampire of non-human appearance. So, basically just an ugly vampire. Now, I've heard that the older a vampire gets, the uglier they get. So there's your rat face, I guess. Rolar. O-R. Sorry, I can't speak today. R-O-L-A-R. Rolar. Let's roll. The Brazilian military equivalent to the U.S. military's hooah. It's the battle cry of the Brazilian military. Rolar. SAD. Special Affairs Division of the FBI. It's tasked with occult crimes investigations since the 1920s and dedicated to vampire hunting since 2006. So these guys have pared down their operations apparently, but that is what they call the FBI who hunt down vampires. Sad. That is sad. Shake and bake, an assault using incendiary devices on a target. That is the auto defay that we discussed earlier. Shake and bake. What the hell, people? SO13, the former name of an anti-terrorist special or operations branch of the London Metropolitan Police. Since 2006, the designation for the British Vampire Hunted Special Forces. So in other words, these are police in Britain that are hunting down vampires. Now, from what I understand, London is clear. London is a green zone. So good luck on them, but I hope things worked out well for everybody, including, the civilians and all that stuff. I don't like the concept of coalition hunters doing that. Tango, from the NATO alphabet for T, used for a generic target or often for a suspected terrorist. So in other words, if there is a suspected vampire or werewolf or freaking sorcerer or something like that, Tango. Just saying, we got the Tango right there. Let's see. We got the UTR. We already covered that. Same thing as what we were looking at, which is basically, Oh, you know what? I skipped right over Transylvania. Who would have thought? Dangerous territory. Turf controlled by blank bodies. So in other words, we're not talking about the geographic area. We're talking about if you walk into an area that there's been heavy vampire feedings or something like that. These guys, these SI, these Second Inquisition Coalition, Five Torches, whatever, they call it they call it entering Transylvania. And then there's the Velum Sanctori, the Holy Veil, which is the code name for the red gas developed by a group called the ESOG against high-valued kindred targets. I'm not 100% sure what that stuff is, but apparently they're using some kind of... They don't breathe. What's the point? I don't get it. Anyway, so those are our lexicons that we need to be keeping track of. Now, the ones that we use, the Cell, the Cellies, Coalition, Creed, Hunt, that's all us. That's all us. That's us trying to understand each other. But it's probably a good idea if you're listening to the in on surveillance. If you're doing surveillance of org hunters of the coalition, it's a good idea to know what the hell they're talking about, and that is exactly what I figured we would do today. So I hope this was informative. Again, if you need me to go into a little bit more detail on something, maybe make a short form video that just describes one thing, let me know. Put that down in the comments, and I will be happy to do that, because I am here for you to learn. I am here to make it so that we are more effective in taking back the night, not laying down and saying, fine, we'll take it. We're going to move on. This is our reckoning. Again, I am Maquette. Thank you for joining me on this little adventure through our lexicon. If this was helpful, please drop a like. It very much helps out the channel, helps us grow, lets us know that we're doing the right thing, and I like to know how many of you I am getting through to. Which is also where subscribing comes in handy. If you want to hear me, if you want me to send these dulcet tones directly to you, subscribe, and I will make sure that that happens. And then, of course, if you know anybody else out there who needs protection in the night, share, because that's what we're here for. Please keep in mind that I am always with you. We will take back the night. Do not go quietly, to paraphrase. Thank you for joining.